Hello and welcome back to the tome analysis series. We are now taking a look at the second tome. There will, as last time, be a link in the description as well as a card either there or there, linking to either the short or the long version, depending upon which one you are interested in or not interested in. So let's oh, look at that. Forgot to deactivate the overlay. Whatever. Let's take a look at it. I this time already filled in everything, so it will be a bit shorter, the long version. The first tome was Shining Light. Earn 5 Lightbringer emblems of bronze quality or better. Wasn't a mastery. You got 3 fragments. Games you needed are 5 at best because it is 1 emblem and 1 game per emblem you get. You can get 1 emblem per game, more or less. Games needed worst case. Bronze. I guess if you were to die real fast, maybe. I guess somewhere around 8. If you are really unlucky and die often early, it might happen. But I doubt it. Games you need, in my opinion, are actually 5. Games I needed were 5, and it was a very easy tome to complete. The next one is Protect Forever. Unhook a survivor safely or take a protection hit 4 times while using We're Gonna Live Forever. It was it was a mastery in this case, so it had to be done in 1 game. Gave 5 fragments. Of course, best case scenario is 1 game. Worst case scenario, well, since you need 4 protection hits, and you can get protection hits by blocking the killer while he's carrying somebody. You have to be close by, and it also requires people to actually get downed and hooked and stuff. So I guess it could be kind of hard. I'll go with not hard per se, but it wouldn't necessarily be there isn't a guarantee you can do it in 1 game. I guess 4 maybe. Okay. Games needed, in my opinion, are not more than 2. Maybe 3. Let's say 3 if you're really unlucky, and 5. 3 average. 1 is possible, but you can have 1 or 2 shitty games. So 3, and worst case, I'm going to go up to 5 just in case you have, like Mori each turn, Myers with instant downs and stuff like that. Yeah, but it isn't a hard tome. It is actually kind of low. There are enough options to get a safe unhook normally. The next one is Liberator. Unhook 5 survivors, must unhook them safely. This one is not a mastery, so it gives you 3 rift fragments. Games needed optimal case is 1. Games needed worst case. Well, I guess. Well, it's unhook. I don't know if protection hooks counted or not, but I guess 5 ought to do it. If you get a few in 1 game and none in the others. Don't forget, worst case means not that you never get it, it just takes really long. It could also be 20 games. Any worst case could be a nigh infinite amount of games. So I'm just going with a realistic, if you're having a tough time, a realistic approach of, well, whatever realistic is. Games needed, in my opinion, are two. Let's see. Let's say you are one survivor. Well, you are one survivor, but let's say there are 3 people, and you can unhook those 3 people that get hooked 2 times in one match before they die. That means if every survivor gets hooked once, that would be one unhook. If every survivor, yeah, okay, I think that's okay. Games I needed were 3, but that was because I was triggered. I probably got, I don't remember if I had teammates that were just, unhooking in front of me, or killer that was face camping or what, no idea. But that was, I added the note there just to mention it. It is a very easy tome, no matter what. Okay, go for broke. Sabotage 10 hooks. I think this was before the sabotage update, so you could, I think, sabotage way easier. It didn't have a cooldown in the past, as far as I remember. I'm not 100% sure on that, but but it's okay. 10 hooks. It's not a mastery, so you can do it in over different matches. Best case scenario in this case would be 1, because you can just take the sabotage skill and just do hooks. Take a toolbox. Don't know if the toolbox nerf was active then. I think so, but I'm not sure. Games needed worst case. I guess it could be 10 games. If you only manage to do 1 a game, maybe not even 1, but 2 in another game. Realistically speaking, I think you should need 2. Let's say, if you do 3 hooks a game, that would be around 3 games. I needed 3. It's a very easy challenge, so it gets the grade low. Next one is poised performance. Finish repairing 1 generator and escape the trial while using poised. It is a mastery, so it gives you 5 rift fragments. Games needed best case are 1, as every mastery is. Worst case. The problem isn't the finish repairing the generator, it's escaping. Every tome that has to do with escaping automatically gets harder, because the win condition for survivors aren't escaping alive anymore. It's just doing well. You can die and still get a double pip. It's not impossible. You just have to do well. So I will say it takes about 10 games if it goes really bad and you just never finish a gen or don't escape. So the combination of the 2. Games needed, in my opinion, I think 4 or 5 maybe 5 might be realistic. As far as games I needed were 8. I rage quit a couple of times because either I was face camped, which, is a whole other thing on itself, or let me pull this over a bit. If there's something on the side, I'll try to mention it. Don't know what those numbers are, but doesn't matter. Anyway, so that's why the number is somewhat high. Jane's victory. Stun the killer 1 time as Jane Romero. Survivor, mastery. So that's 5 rift fragments, and that's 1 game needed best case, as with every mastery. Then in the worst case, I think it would be somewhere around I guess 3 games. If you just are unlucky, if you have some kind of killer that is good at whatever, and you know, some kind of insta-down killer where even if you take a hit, you can't stun because you get downed. But normally you can just take a hit, drop the pallet with her, and then you're finished. You can go die and do the next tome. Games needed, in my opinion, is actually 1. Games I needed were 2 because in the 1 game I just apparently didn't get the pallets done. Last place you look, search 6 chests. Survivor, not a mastery, that means 3 rift fragments. Games optimally needed are 1 because as far as I know, if you have a survive with friends groups, for example, you can, and with offerings that give additional chests, you should, if I'm not mistaken, you can of course correct me in the comments, I'll pin it, you should be able to do it in 1 game. Games needed worst case. Well, if everybody, let's say you are not in a survival friends group and there are 3 survivors and they all go for the chest because they're all doing the tome or whatever other reason they have to go for the chest, and you just don't find a chest, you don't have Plunderer's Instinct, you don't have Detective's Hunch, yeah, then it could very well go up to, I guess, 6 or maybe more. I mean, it's a really easy one, but it's so circumstantial to find chests that aren't necessarily looted. And if everybody's looting them, it gets harder. So first of all, you have to find them, then they have to not be looted. Yeah. Needed, in my opinion, are 2 or 3, 2 or 3, 2 or 3, 2 or 3. I think, are there around 4? Well, there's one in the basement. Should be around 4 on a map. Let's say you get an average of 1.5 per game. Oh, 2 per game, you could say. That would be 3 games. Okay, so I was triggered with this one as well. I don't know if I wrote it down for Tome 3. I definitely didn't note it for Tome 4. But, yeah. Next one is Bring the Light. Repair a total of 4 generators. Survivor, not a mastery. 3 rifts, 1 game. Because you can theoretically do 4 gens in 1 game. And just an FYI, if you do it in a 4 people survive with friends group, the tomes, you know, if you work together, and I guess even a 2 or 3 people, you can just have the other people looping the killer and get it done. So, yeah, it should theoretically be possible with 1. Not very likely though. Worst case, need to repair 4 generators. That means the whole progress. You can't be interrupted, and if you're interrupted, I think what you did carries on to, sort of, let's say you did 80% and died in that game, then if you do another 20% in another game, you should have 1. Which would mean, I guess if you do around 50% per gen, on average, worst case-ish, it would be 8 games. It's not hard. I don't think anybody would need 8 games, but you know, if you get chased the first game and you don't manage to do any gens, 1 or 2 games, definitely possible. Games needed, my opinion, are, I guess, 2.53 maybe. Because you should be able to do around 1 gen each game on average. And a little bit more. So, craft times over. Cleanse 12 totems. Mastery, no. That means 3 rift fragments. That is one where you need, at the bare minimum, actually 3 games. So this is one of the ones where you, at minimum, actually need a few games, similar to the Shining Light. Because you have 5 totems on a map, which means it's impossible to do it with less. Worst case, I guess 12 games would be probably a pretty accurate estimation if you only get 1 or 2 in one game and not one in the other, and then on average have 1 totem per game. I would assume that is a pretty bad type of a scenario. Needed, in my opinion, if you use Detective's Hunch, or there was another one that lets you know when you are close to it. That would be around, I guess, 2 per game, 6, around 6 games. I was triggered. I think somebody took away some totems for me. So yeah. And I'm back. So next one is David's Protection. Take 1 protection hit as David King. You are a survivor. It is a mastery. You need 5 rift fragments, which is you need 1 game. I think you should be able to do it with I guess 3 games ought to work. It's kind of similar to Jane's Victory. As long as you aren't the first one who is hooked and you die on hook, you should be able to, you know, body block or something like that. Needed, in my opinion, are 2. No, actually it's 1. I needed 2. I was triggered, and okay, so I need to and the reason is because a wraith body blocked me into a corner. I remember that one pretty well. Not that I remember that it was with Tome, but I remember the situation. I was blocked into a corner, more or less, or not. Well, not just more or less. I was blocked into a corner, and yeah, that was really infuriating. He didn't let me out. He just stood there invisible, so since you can't do anything, it's, well, not nice. Next one, Escape Artist. Escape 2 trials. Survivor. Mastery, no. Fragments, 3. Games needed optimal 2 because, you know, Escape 2, so 2, yeah. Worst case, I guess 8, maybe? Maybe 10. Let's say 10. It feels more like a 10er. Needed, in my opinion, I guess around 5. I needed 6. It is a mid challenge rift because you have to escape. I was triggered once because of this tome and left rage quit probably. Dead Hardy. Use Dead Hard to avoid a basic attack by a nearby killer 1 time. Survivor. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game needed optimal. Worst case, I think it's around 4. Games need, in my opinion, if you are somewhat good at using Dead Hard, or not as bad as using Dead Hard as I am, you should be able to get done in 1 game. I am just bad at Dead Hard. I don't like the perk. Nope. Needed The ones I needed are 2 because I just didn't, well, manage to do the avoid an attack. You have to, time it perfectly. So that makes it a little bit harder than easy, but it still works. It's still not that hard. A silver hero. Earn 2 emblems of silver quality or better as a survivor. A survivor, mastery, so that means 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case. Boy, I guess 2, 4, 3. 3 feels right. Best games needed, in my opinion, silver quality or better too. So it should be done in 1. I did need it 2. It's a very easy 1. Then Bronze Age. Earn 15 emblems of bronze quality or better. All. Not a mastery. I don't think they had all masteries yet. Rift fragments are 3. Games needed best case are 4 because you have 4 emblems. That means you need 16. You get 16 emblems done in 4 games. Worst case. Well, I guess 1 to 2. Let's say 2 ought to be done per game on average, which would mean 30 games. I doubt very seriously anybody would need 30, but maybe actually no, I think 20 is plenty of average enough to, maybe even 15. I think 15 actually 15 ought to be kind of right. So especially since you could just crawl around or sneak around as survivor and try to be hidden, jumping from locker to locker. Yeah, 15 is good. In my opinion, you need 4 games, actually. I needed 4 games, and it is very easy. Not getting a bronze emblem is kind of hard. I mean, not doing something, yes. But let's say, unless the survivor is not, a killer is just not doing anything, as a survivor it should be able to be done. And unless you just aren't able to hit any survivor, it should also be done. Spilling the blood. Earn 5 devote emblems of a bronze quality or better. This is the first killer tome. It's not a mastery. You need 3 rift fragments. You get 3 rift fragments. You need 5 games because you can at most get 1 devote per game, 1 devote emblem per game. Worst case. Oh god, what did you need to do for devote emblems? Give me a one. Was it hitting? No, that or was it? I don't think it was hooking. Was it hooking? Devote. Yeah, okay. Devote is sacrificing. Starting value 0. 2 points for each sacrifice, 2 points avoided for each kill, 0 for bleed out, 2 for each disconnect, 1 for each hooked. Time a hooked survivor is it for awarded for hooking all survivors at least once, and 1 awarded after having hooked all survivors, a combination of 1 of 9 times. So if you need devote bronze, that means 1 point you either need to hook all of them at least once or need a sacrifice or a disconnect? This means that since I think 8 is actually kind of realistic. If you are not that good as a killer, or if you're not good enough, not that you have to be really good, but not good enough to hook enough, and they have borrowed time and you can't face camp to secure that one kill, and you can't get the four hooks, not 4 kills but 4 hooks. Yeah, seems about right. So needed in my opinion are 5 actually. I think you should be able to, with most games, get 1 kill or at least 4 hooks. Not 4 hooks, yes. Not necessarily 1 kill, but 4 hooks, yes. Okay. So okay, whatever. Kind of doesn't work with that light. Whatever. Okay. So gruesome hook 20 survivors. From what I see from the stats that I put in the table, it's not one where you have to hook 20 different survivors. So that doesn't mean you don't need 5 games. You can do it with, well, you can get 12 hooks at max if the survivors are rescued, and you can get another hook and so on and so forth, which would be 2 games. Yeah. Okay, not a mastery, first of all. Fragments, 2 games. Optimally, worst case, I guess 20 would be kind of realistic. Similar to the emblem of the Bronze Age. It's not impossible to get none. It's not unimaginable that you don't get a hook, but probably you will get at least 1 hook per game. And therefore, if you do have one where you don't get 1, you have one where you get 2 probably. Games needed, in my opinion, I think you will on average get around 8, 6, 12, 18 for 4 games, I guess, would be kind of realistic. I needed 3. Take charge. Break 4 generators while using overcharge. Killer, mastery, 5 rift fragments. Optimal 1. Worst case, actually I think this is one of the few where the worst case, then ones needed and the ones I needed all actually coincide, because this is probably one of the easiest of all the tomes. You just need to run around, and if you have surveillance, even better. And it should have been changed then. I think surveillance was changed last year. If you have surveillance, even better. You can just kick it, leave. You see when they touch it again, you go back, kick it again. Rinse and repeat 2 more times, 3 more times, whatever. And you have it. So, mad about you. Inflict 1 madness 1 on 2 different survivors as a doctor killer. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. Games needed 1. Worst case, madness 1. I think that's also actually 1. Optimal need, in my opinion, is definitely 1, and I needed 1. That's probably the second easiest, or one of the second easiest, because even if you can't cook anybody, just going around and zapping them and then waiting for your static blast to regenerate, as well as taking add-ons that decreases the time needed to charge so that you can fire it off more often, and time you need to fire off more often, and so on and so forth. I think a sealed shut, I think it's pretty easy. Also, monitor and abuse gives you a bigger, range of efficacy. So yeah, sealed shut. Close the hatch 1 time. Killer, mastery, 5 rift fragments. Games needed 1. Worst case, or 5, I guess. Needed, in my opinion. Ooh, that's a hard one to estimate. I think I would go with 3. It's the chances are good that everybody just runs out while you at the same time. So even if you don't kill 3 and have to start a race against the last survivor to see who finds the hatch first, and survivors, unlike killers, still have a perk advantage with was it Left Behind or So Survivor or something, where they have a perk that shows you the hatch when you're close. So there's that. And well, then you also need well, you need to be able to close it. So there are 2 situations. Survivor finds it first, or they all leave before it opens, and that just makes it hard. That's a low to medium one. Execution. Kill 10 survivors by any means necessary. Game rift fragments are 3. It is not a mastery, can't be, because 10 survivors. Games needed is definitely 3 because you have 4 survivors. So if you kill all 4 each round, that means you need 2 more from the 3rd round. Games needed. Worst case, I guess, let me see, 10. I guess 10 games could work. Realistically speaking, I think you can get around 3 kills with a Mori and stuff like that. So I guess 3 games. I needed 3 games, and it is actually a pretty low one. It's just not, well, 3 kills. It's just unlikely that you get. Well, maybe I think games needed maybe 4. Let's say games needed are 4. Because it is kind of unlikely that you get 3 kills each game. So more than 3 kills each game in a row. Phase Warrior. Hit a survivor after emerging from phasing 1 time as the Spirit Killer. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. Games needed 1 if you're good. Worst case, well, I guess 5, maybe 6. I mean, it all depends on how good you are with phase walking, and you can't, after the spirit nerf, build on collision, which in my opinion also means you shouldn't be able to collide with buildings and stuff, but okay. Would make her probably then more powerful again. games needed, in my opinion. I guess 2 out of work. I needed 1, was kind of lucky. I'm not that good at doing Spirit, I think, but I managed. It's low to medium difficulty. Next one. Silver Age. Earn 2 emblems of silver quality or better as killer. It is a mastery. Silver Blade, not Silver Age. Silver Blade. 5 rift fragments. You need 1 game if in the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, you will need 3 games, I guess. If they pop through the gens and you have somebody who manages to just loop you the whole time you get with those good matchmakings, whatever kind of killer survivors, or they deep-hipped or whatever, and you just can't get them, or you whatever. If it just really runs bad and you have somebody who can loop you for days, you will have trouble getting 2 silver. Games needed, in my opinion, however, is 1, and it's not that difficult of a quest. So let's see what we have here. From 1 got me to 14.7 of 10. Oh, Tome 1 got me to and this one. In case you're wondering, this means when I finished the complete first tome, got to rank 14 and a 7 of 10 rift fragments, and started with rift 16, so I did another 2 and 1 rift fragment crystal when starting a rift, the second chapter of the tome. And that's what that is. Bring the light. Repair a total of 10 generators. Survivor, not a mastery. 3 tomes. You will need 2 if it runs optimal, and you are the one repairing all the gens. Worst case, I guess it would be around 10 games. Realistically, it will be around, I guess, 2 gens per game, which means around 5 games. I needed 5 and it was low. Fearless. Earn 5 evaders of silver quality or better. Survivor, not a mastery. Gets 3 rift fragments. Games needed optimally are 5 because 5 emblems. Worst case, if you are just down without being good at evading and stuff and looping, I guess it could take 10. Realistically speaking, I think it will be around 6. I guess it could be 7 too, but I'll just go with my estimation, what I needed, because it ought to be somewhat close. Unless you're really unlucky, you won't get a silver. Let me put it that way. Escape Artist. Escape 4 trials. Survivor. Not a mastery. 3 rift fragments, 4 games because 4 escapes. 16 games because escapes. And escapes are tough. Let's see, what did I go with for the escapes? 10. Yeah, I think a 16. I mean, it's 4 escapes and that was 1, but that's also means if you have 1 character and a perk that you have to use, then it automatically changes a bit. I think you should be able to escape every 4th game, more or less. Maybe 20. Let's go with 20, just because, you know, it's worst case, so it can get worse. Realistically speaking, I think you will escape every 2.5 times. 8, 10. It's medium to hard Tome. Up. Back up here, please. Thanks. There's the one. There it is. Okay. In a second, I'll just give me one moment so I don't have to. So I don't forget. Cookies, 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 cookies. Okay. Fight back. Stun the killer 4 times as a survivor, not a mastery. 3 emblems. 1 game if you are good at pallet stunning, and you can use decisive strike once. Should also work. That is, well, worst case, I think it will be around 8 games. Don't know what I did for the other one with stunning, but I think you should be able to get 1 stun around per game, and maybe a little bit more on the second game if, you know, don't die on hook. Well, maybe 10. No, I think aim. Let's say you get 1 stun. Oh, it's 4 stun. Okay, 4 definitely. 4 times, yeah, definitely. 8 is enough. Okay. Realistically speaking, I think you should get it in around 4 games. Well, actually, I think you should get it in around 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 games. I had a bit of a problem with it. This one, just getting the stuns right, and it's not a hard. It's just one that takes a couple of games, in theory. Depending upon how good you are. I was triggered by a nurse and just couldn't get it down. Nurse and a few others are kind of hard because you don't see them. So there's that. Liberator. Unhook 8 survivors, must unhook them safely. Survivor, not a mastery. 3. You can unhook 8 survivors in 1 round if they are hooked. First hook, 1 unhook. Second hook, 2 unhooks. That is 2. I think 2. 4. No, you need 2 games. Look at that. I kind of okay, 2 games. Because you can unhook each survivor 2 times. And I don't know if self-unhooking counts, which you could do 1. So at maximum you could do 7, probably more like 6. So 2 games. Worst case, 8 games. You should be able to do 1 every, an average of 1, maybe 0 in 1 game, 2 in another. If you, head right to them. Realistically speaking, you should need, let's say, around 5 games, I guess. It is a low one. It just requires people getting hooked. I think I needed 5 games actually, because people sometimes didn't get hooked because and if they did, I wasn't the one close enough to rescue on time, or when I got there, they were already rescued. So there's a few things that are going on with that one. But it's not per se hard. It's just a lot of the same problem with that a lot of Tomes have. It has a prerequisite. Romero's escape. Escape 1 trial as Jane Romero. Survivor, yes. 5. Because it's a mastery. 1 game optimally. Worst case, I guess, a 4 or 3. 4. Realistically, I guess around 3 ought to work. It is medium. Not medium hard, but it is definitely medium because escaping is, as I said, always a problem. The shield. Take 2 protection hits. Survivor. Yes. 5. Yes. Mastery. 5. Rift fragments. 1 game needed optimally. I think you should, if it's worst case 3, you should be able to get it done in 1. And it is actually kind of low. No mither, no problem. Escape 1 trial using the perk no mither. It's a survivor, it's a mastery, 5 fragments, 1 game optimally. Worst case. 6. 8. I don't know. 6. Let's say you have a couple of perks that work good with no mither. 6. Realistically speaking, or medium hard. No mither makes a game much harder. If you look at, theoretically, survivor has 2 hit points. People will say they don't have 2 hit points. Well, hit points are the points that when reduced to 0 you go down, and they quite literally have 2 hit points unless they are exposed, in which case you could say the killers do critical damage, for example. Yeah, so going with no mither is, well, harder. It reduces your effective health to 1, and the benefits are not necessarily that great. Of course, you do have unbreakable permanently, but every killer knows it because they see you have no mither. It's not like it gets triggered after the first downing, and from then on you are no mither. No, it's a permanent effect. So if you start with it, and since there are no other no mither-esque perks with which you can start in the broken state, so any killer who knows it will know not to pick you up in time. Yeah. King's Escape. Escape 1 trial as David King. So this one is pretty much the same as Jane's Escape, Romero's Escape, which means it's 4, 3. I needed 2. It's medium. It's pretty much the same thing. After all, survivors are more or less just skins at some point. Head-on collision. Stun a killer by exiting and locker with head-on 1 time. Survivor, yes, 5, 1. 5 rift fragments, yes, mastery, 1 game. Hard, yeah, sort of, I guess, 4 games, because, well, you kind of wait somewhere, and but the problem is if you don't have a survive with friends group. If a survive with friends group, you have a friend, kite the killer to the locker, you are in, and you jump out and head on him. No problem. But getting the situation on purpose can be tricky. Realistically speaking, I think you will need 2 to 3 games. Let's go down. Let's take the lower number this time. It is low to medium difficulty. Explorer. Mark 5 objects on the map. Survivor. No. 3. It's not a mastery. 3 rift fragments. 1 game. I think this ought to. No, it ought to be done in 1 game, because if you run around, if you have a map, even and you have an increased, I think you can increase the range at which it detects things, and even if unless you're instant down, but that even then, just running around right after you start the game ought to give you 5 objects on the map. Realistic is definitely 1, and it's low. You don't really have to do much for this. You just have to walk around. Escape route. Escape 3 chases. Survivor. Not a mastery. 3 fragments. 1 game. Realistically speaking, I think you should be able to do it in 3 games. Because just because it says you escaped doesn't mean you really escaped. It just means you the game considers the chase ended. Realistically, you can do it in 1. I have 5 games in the Tome 4 there where I actually did those things in 1. It's low-ish. Silver Age. Earn 15 emblems of silver quality or better. 3. It's an all perk. All tome quest. So Killer and Survivor. 3 rift fragments. 4 games because 15 tomes. Worst case. I think let's take a look. Bronze Age was 15. Let's go with 20. 20, yeah. Silver, getting silver is somewhat still realistic, and chances are, even if it goes bad, the chances are it's pretty similar to the Bronze Age. Realistically, I guess 5, 6, to around 2 per. It's low. It doesn't matter. It just is one of those that you can't that are capped in a game match by 1, by 4 more or less, and so on. Terrified. Killer. Make Survivor scream 10 times. Killer, not a mastery. 3 emblem, 1 game. Actually, it ought to be 1 game as well with worst case, because with the doctor, the shock actually counts for making them scream. So that means if you can static blast 10 the survivors 10 times, you finished it. Not the static blast sometimes, but static blast or shock the survivors in a match 10 times, and that ought to be possible. Static blast does, if depending upon how lucky or unlucky you are, 1 to 2 people. But still, before all 5 gens are done, it ought to be done possible. Realistically speaking, 1. Low. Abusive treatment. chase four different survivors while using monitor and abuse. It is a killer tome. It's a mastery. That means 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case 2, in case you don't find a survivor in that game. I think you should always be able to find all 4, but you don't even have to hit them, you just have to chase them. But if you don't find the one, and I did have 1 or 2 games where that was the case in the past, so it is possible to actually not ever meet one of the survivors. Yeah, optimal, I think you should be able to do it in 1. It is a low quest. Made about you. Inflict, mad about you, not made, sorry. Mad about you. Inflict madness 1 to 4 on 4 different survivors. Also somewhat easy. Since madness doesn't really decrease, there was one, I think that was in Tome 3, that was significantly harder, but that one isn't. Mastery 5, 1. One. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, now that I think about it, this also should be 1, because with Doctor you can just find out where they are, and it is his perk, so he does have it. But well, you never know. People might be in the locker when Static Blast goes off, but still, you should be able to get it somewhat well on the 4. 1, realistically, I needed actually 2, so that means I didn't get it. Reason was I was triggered, as far as I can tell from this, because I was a rank 8 killer. When did I ever? Okay, whatever. And I was going up against rank 1 and 2 survivors, as far as I can tell. Or at least 1 rank 1 and 1 rank 2 survivor. Dark Adherent. Took 5 survivors. Killer. Yes, a mastery, 5 points. 1 game. Worst case of 5 games, I guess. It is, it doesn't have to be different survivors, but it is kind of tricky. And if people disconnect or let themselves down the hook and stuff, you know. Realistically 1, and it is kind of low. The reason why I did worst case 5 is if you just have trouble doing the loop-de-loop with the survivors, it can pose a bit of a challenge. But that goes for pretty much every worst case scenario. The Hunt. Earn 5 chaser emblems of a silver quality or better. Killer. Not a mastery, can't be. 3 rift fragments. 1 1? No. 5 games needed. Best case, I guess 10 games needed. Worse, no. That could be actually something like 12 games needed. Worst case, if you just have real tough luck with the loop-de-loop. Realistically speaking, it should be around 7, let's say 8, I guess. No, 7. I'm not that good at running after people. It is kind of low, but it just takes time. And I was apparently I rage quit once because rank 8 versus rank 4 and 5. So yeah. Oh, in any case, there's also why you see I'm one of the examples as to why I think the MMR system is a total BS. Because people will start playing less, because just if you have good killer versus bad survivor, the survivors will be angry, and if you have good survivors versus bad killers, killers won't be happy and will quit. Anyway, Rancor Rampage. Kill the obsession with your hands one time while using Rancor. Killer, Mastery 5, 1 game. At, I guess, 3 if you are not able to find the obsession, and if you don't have a Mori, it's definitely doable in 1, because even though you have to kill the obsession with your hands, it doesn't mean you have to do it using the features of the perk Rancor. You could take an Mori and find the obsession hook, camp, kill. Or find the obsession hook, do whatever you want to do, keep an eye on the obsession, and then kill. Or whatever. Low. Furious Destruction. Break 4 pallets while using Spirit Fury. That one is very easy. Yes, it is a Mastery 5 Rift Fragments, 1 game. This ought to also be 1 game in worst case scenario, 1 game realistically speaking, and it is very low. Oh, so low. Okay. Interrupt and grab 1 survivor. Killer, yes. Mastery, yes. 5 Rift Fragments, 1 game. Worst case, 4. Realistically speaking, I guess 1 to 2. If you do a setup that's just focused on it, like the zero terror radius miners on an indoor map, and you sneak up on them, or you take the wraith with no bell sound and no terror radius when uncloaking for 6 and no restraint for 6 seconds, you can more or less whiz up to the survivor and grab him before he has a chance to let go. So, but has a very, you have to, build for it if you want, and still then it can be kind of difficult, and you have to have the stuff to build for it. Elevator Hour. Sacrifice 2 survivors to the entity in the endgame prelims. Not a mastery. Gives you 3 Rift Fragments. Doable in 1 game if there are still 2 people alive. Boy. I guess 5. If you, depending upon how you look at it. If, yeah, it can be hard. Realistically, I think 2 ought to, well, maybe 3. Let's put this up to 6. I did it in 1. It's a medium hard, and this is actually medium. Tough stuff. Earn 5 unbroken emblems of gold quality or better. Survivor gives you not a mastery, gives you 3 Rift Fragments. We need a 5 because emblems. Oh, this time it goes up quite a bit, I guess. 12 to 13. I guess 10 could be kind of realistic because not dying is hard. That's why pretty much everyone with escaping is medium or medium hard or hard. You get a gold emblem when you are alive long enough, but that means you have to be alive long enough or escape. Was it not? Was it escape? Let me take a look. I'm pretty sure it was be alive long enough. Add 1 point from being put into the dying state. So that means in the moment you die, get downed, you get gold. Iridescent is not being downed. Let's see. I'm not quite sure. No, I think you can get gold without. Oh no, you actually only can get silver according to the wiki. Oh, that makes it even harder. So that means this is around 15. If you really have to escape the trial. And this puts it up to then 20, I guess. Sore ankles. Fall from great height while being chased 2 times. Survivor Tome. Not a mastery. You get 3 emblems. 1 game. Worst case, 2 games. It ought to be doable in 2 games at the latest. You just need to be wherever there is a great height and be chased. I could say. It should be doable in 1. I needed 2. Hatch and escape. Unlock the hatch with a key 2 times. Survivor. Not a mastery. 3 points. You need 2 games optimally because once you unlock it, you are gone. Worst case 5 because key and gens being done and stuff like that. Theoretically, you will need around 3 or 4. Well, 4. 4, I guess. Oh, no. More like 5. And this is definitely higher. Worst case is, I guess, 8. I needed 6. It's a medium hard one. And because, now that I think about it, because the conditions are you need enough gens done for the hatch to spawn, and you need to be alive, and you need to have a key. Those are 3 conditions which get harder to complete the more time has continued the more time has transpired. Dr.Dorian. Finish healing one survivor health state of other survivors, so you can't heal yourself, and escape the trial as Jane Romero. Yes, a mastery 5. Rift fragments, 1 game optimally. Worst case, 5 around. So realistically, 3. I needed 3. It's a medium. Let's see, what did I do for the other ones? Medium hard. Yeah, I guess medium hard is okay. Well, I guess it's more medium than hard because in most cases you probably did get 1 heal out and when you escape. Jane's stunning escape. Stun the killer 1 time and escape as Jane. Did we already have something like that? Mastery 5, 1 game. 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case, I guess it's around 5 as well. 3, and it is medium hard. A little bit harder than just healing. High skill. Get 8. Get a great skill check result 8 times. Get a great result on 8 skill checks. Survivor, not a mastery. 3 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case. Two games. Realistically speaking, 1 you can take stakeout, which will, when you're long in the terror radius long enough, gives you a token. If you have it on tier 3, you can save up to 4 tokens, which are already in itself 4 great skill checks. So unless you are the first to die, or you're really terrible at skill checks and so on, you manage. It's low, especially if you do it with I mean, it could be a hard, but I'm considering having, if you have everything, all skills, not necessarily perks, not necessarily on every character, but you have all characters unlocked and have all teachables unlocked and have 1 or 2 characters with pretty much everything. That's my assumption. Bring the light. Repair a total of 12 generators. Survivor, not a mastery, can't be. 3 fragments, 3 games, because you can at max repair 5 gens before. Oh, the gens the game's over. And even if you repair more and just 99 them, I don't know, it probably would work, but the amount of effort it would take is just more than just powering through the gens by yourself. In worst case, 15. I will say this time. Realistically, it should be around 10 gens, I guess. It is low. It's just one of those grindy-ish ones. Skillful solidarity. Finish healing 1 health state of another survivor while using solidarity. Is survivor, mastery, 5 rift fragments, 1 game optimally. Worst case, I guess 2 games in case nobody gets hooked. And you're too far away. Maybe 3 games, 1 game nobody gets hooked, 2 you're too odd. 3. Let's go with 3. That's worst case. Realistically, you should be able to do it in 1. It is low, even though you have a perk. A mandatory perk. It's not that big of a deal. Liberator. Unhook. 12 survivors must unhook them safely. Survivor. Not a mastery. 3 rift fragments. 2 games. 6. 12. Yes. Right. Worst case. Around 13. Around 15. Realistically, it will probably be around 8. 8, I guess. It is low. It is just a very grindy, but also with me, for example, I had the problem. In one game, there was no hooks. In one game, I got hooked before I could do anything. In another game, I died in phase 2 because I was triggered because nobody came to help me and they could have gotten me. And in 3 to 4 games, there were hooks where they were unhooked before I could unhook. So that's well, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 games that were just tough luck. And this is the problem with these kind of tomes. If you don't have the requisite to complete them, you can't complete them. Okay, next one. The Great Escape. Escape 3 trials through the exit gate. Survivor, not a mastery. 3 points. Rift fragments. It takes you optimally 3 games. Worst case, probably around 9 games, I guess. Every 10 games, I guess. 3 every 3rd game or so. You should be able to escape if you are really out for it. Realistically, I think it should be around 6, maybe. It is definitely medium. King for a day. Be chased by the killer for a total of 30 seconds and escape the trial as David King. Yes, a mastery. 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case, I think it will be around 4. 5. Realistically, we're probably around 2 to 3. It is medium. If you're good at looping, it's easy. Consider if you manage to loop the killer the whole time and he doesn't leave. So, redemption arc. Take 1 protection hit and escape as David King. Survivor, yes. Mastery. 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case, I guess around 5 games. Best case around 2 games. I needed... Yeah. Let's put it up to 8. Let's just say I had the worst case scenario. It can be worse. And it's a medium hard one. Because it's a protection hit, so yeah, that can be the circumstances for protection. This can be very limited. Iridescent Hero. Earn 2 emblems of iridescent quality or better as Survivor. It is a mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game needed optimally. Worst case. Oh, if you're unlucky, I guess 7 games. Not getting any, you need not only 1 but 2 iridescent emblems. Realistically, probably around 3 or 4. It is medium, low. Oh, it is more of a medium. difficulty, just getting too iridescent. Gold Age. Earn 15 emblems of gold quality or better all. Not mastery. You get 3 rift fragments. You need 4 games optimally. Worst case, you need 30 games, I guess. Let's say 25. Realistically, I guess around 10, maybe 8. Let's say 8. I needed 5, was kind of lucky. It's definitely a medium. Guardian. Earn 5 gatekeeper emblems of gold quality or better killer. Not a mastery. 3 rift fragments, 5 games optimally. Worst case 15, I guess. Realistically around a 7 or 8. It is low to medium. Yeah. Unrelenting Hunt. Knock down 5 survivors while using Unrelenting. It is a killer. Mastery. He needs 5 gives you 5 archive points, 5 rift fragments, 1 game optimally. Worst case 5 games. I think in 5 games, let's say 6 games, you should be able to knock 5 survivors down. And I'm not saying when I'm doing these worst case scenarios, I'm not saying that's the worst of the worst. As I said, it's just, I feel like, let's say you have a really tough time, you do 5 games, you depip who knows how often, So after the 6th game, I think you should probably have a knockdown of 5 survivors in that game. Realistically, it should be done in 1 game. It is kind of low to medium. Oh, it actually is low. Doesn't mean you have to kill him. Mad skill. Inflict 3 madness 3 on 3 survivors as the doctor. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game optimally. Worst case 3 games. Yes, 3 games because who knows, they could, if one snaps out or before you get the 3rd one. Realistically, you should be able to get it in 1 to 2 games, and it is still low. Even though I needed 2, I think it's low. It's just very circumstantial. Oh, look at that. Oh, sorry. Apparently, this is one where I forgot to collect the tome. That's why the 2nd one came about. Oh, I assume. It's been a while. Doing the 1st one took way too long. Not to upload and do that obviously, but just going through it. That's why I'm doing it differently this time. Knock down 10 survivors. Killer, not a mastery. 3 rift fragments, 1 game. It should be possible. Worst case 6 games. And get 1 or 2 knockdowns per game, more or less, let's say. Realistically, 2 games ought to do it. And it is a low 11th hour. Sacrifice 5 games to the entity during in-game collapse. Killer, not a mastery, can't be. 3 rift fragments to games. Worst case, I guess around 12. What did I do? With the other endgame collapse sacrifices, wasn't there one? 12 was 2 endgame. Let's say 15. Let's say more than 15 now that I think about it. Let's say 18. Let's see, 2, 6. I don't know. Okay. This is my reasoning for 18 and 12 with 2 and 18 with was it? No. Was 6 with 2. Yeah, okay. It's kind of hard, and I guess that ought to work though. Maybe. Let's say 7. Worst case, not worst case, up to my normal, doable, realistic take. You can, play the game that they actually reach in-game face camp with a leather face. And in most cases, they won't be able to escape. But there is a chance that 1 or 2 games where you did that, they still escape before sacrificing or something. So, yeah. It is medium. I needed 8 games, and I had 2 DCs in that game. So, Dark Adherent. Hook 6 survivors. Killer. Mastery. 5 tomes, 1 game. I guess it would take about, worst case, about 12 games. Let's say 10 games. Because out of whatever reason, you only hook 1, or an average of a little bit less than 1 per game. And it is, I guess you would normally do it in 1 to 2 games. So I'll go with 2 this time. It is, I needed 1 game, and it is, low from the difficulty in my assumption. Iridescent Blade. Earn 2 emblems of iridescent quality or better. Killer. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game. Worst case, I guess, around 5 games. Maybe 6. Let's go with 7. Let's go with pretty much the... actually, it's a bit harder to do it as a killer. Let's go with 8. Maybe 9. Just basing it off the numbers and my numbers. I think you'll need around a bit more. It's medium hard. One of those games I rage quit at the end, apparently. Or did somebody rage quit? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The survivors can fuck it over just as much as you can fuck yourself over, or you can have better survivors, which seems to happen more often than not. Phase Warrior. Hit a survivor after emerging from phasing 2 times as the Spirit Killer. Yes, a mastery. 5 games. 5 rift fragments. 1 game. Optimally. Worst case. Where was the other one with the phasing? Let's go just with around 10 games, then I think you should be able to do it in 1 to 2. It is low to hard or medium to hard? Low, medium, yeah. So as you can see, I already stopped noting what points, how many points I got or got to, whatever. That was Phase Warrior. Last one is last section is Pallet Master. Drop a pallet to stun the killer 5 times. Not a survivor quest, not a mastery 3. It's doable in 1. More realistically, 5, I guess. 4 to 5. No, worst case 4 to 5. Realistically, probably 2 games. I'll just take the worst case, since I'm up to 10. Realistically, it should be doable 2 to 3. Let's say 3. Just based off of my own experience. Apparently, I did add up Zerna with one of the games. Theoretically, I would say it's low to medium. It's not possible with Decisive Strike, if I understand the description correctly, but whatever. One more time. Succeed in 5 consecutive skill checks. That one is way too easy for whatever. Survivor, yes. 5 Rift Fragments, 1 game. Let's say 2 games because you just didn't get any 5 skill checks. Normally you should be able to get 5. 1 I would normally assume, and it is a low. So, sore ankles, fall from great heights while being chased 4 times. Not a mastery, 3 Rift Fragments, 1 game, worst case 3 games, let's say 4 games, I guess. 2 games maybe. I needed 4 games. It's a low to medium. Take 1 for the team. Take 10 protection hits. Oh, that's not a mastery. 3 games. Doable in 1. If the circumstances are right. I guess 10. Let's say 15. Realistically, around 8. It's a low to medium. It's just a grindy-esque Tome. Life Giver. Heal a total of 8 stats of any survivor. Also a grindy one. Not a mastery. 3 games doable in 1. Realistically, I guess around 12. No, worst case around 12. Realistically, 8. 5. Let's just go with 5. That's a similar value as the last one. I did it in 4. It is low. Not low medium like the last one, because you can, not see the killer. You can avoid him, while protection hits typically require being hit, as its name description suggests. David's Protection. Take 2 protection hits as David King, Survivor Mastery. Yes. 5 rift fragments. 1 game doable. Realistic, let's say around 3. So, where was I? 1 to 2 games, in my opinion. It's low to medium, I guess, because the 2 in 1 game and protection hit from a certain character. Jane's victory, stun the killer 3 times as Jane Romero. Them tomes. Survivor mastery, 5 rift fragments, 1 game. Worst case. Boy, I guess 5. I think you should be able to do it in 2 or 1. After the second try, I needed 4. It's low to medium, I guess. I don't know. What did I do for the other pallet stun things? Low. Yeah, low, medium ought to work. Head-on collision. Stun the killer by exiting a locker with head-on one. Didn't we have that already? Well, whatever. Well, I guess they just reused one, maybe. Stun the killer by exiting a locker with a head-on 1 time. Yes, mastery, 5 fragments, 1 game. Let's see, 4 to 4 to medium low. Plan B. Escape 2 trials through the hatch. Survivor. No. Not a mastery. Can't be. 3 rift fragments. 2 games. Worst case, 15 games I would just estimate. Realistically, well, let's say 6 like I needed. It's a medium, definitely. Is it a hard? I don't know. Let's see, what did I how did I classify escape hatch? 1 time, find hatch, hatch, medium hard. Oh, let's just make it a medium hard. Not that against it, to be honest. Player showed the killer on purpose where I was. Oh, I rage quit once. Let's so it's better readable. Oh, let's just do this one as well. Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, benevolence. Earn 3 benevolent emblems of iridescent quality or better. That is a survivor, not a mastery. Can't be. 3 rift fragments. 3 games because benevolent emblem. Difficulty 8, I guess. Realistically 6 around. Maybe 9, I guess. It's a medium, definitely. Maybe even medium hard. Hard to say. Unhook. Savior. Unhook for survivors. Must unhook them safely. Survivor. Tome quest. Yes, mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game optimally. Worst case. 7, maybe 6. Realistically, I guess it would be around 2 games. Low to medium. I was Mori'd at least once, or it was a Mori killer at least once, so that's the reason why I had 5. Bring the light. Repair a total of 12 generators. A survivor, not a mastery. Can't be. 3 rifts. 3 games optimally. Worst case. Didn't we already have that? $12. Okay. Okay, 15, 10. And let's go with 15 and 10 again. I needed 8. It is a low, just grindy. Long escape, long gone. Escape shoot chases. Yes, a mastery, so it has to be done in 1 game. 5 rifts. 1 game, of course, optimally. Worst case 2. Realistically 1. Low. Iridescent age. Earn 15 iridescent emblems. Emblems of iridescent quality. No, not a mastery. Can't be. It's an all player tome, killer survivor tome. 3 rift fragments. 4 games. Realistically, I guess 30 now. Yeah. 30. Around 15. I think should work. Why? Because very often when you get 1 iridescent, you also get another one. It is definitely more of a medium type quest. Let's go with medium hard because Gold Age was already medium. Bloody rewards. Earn 100,000 blood points. All. I think. Now let me. You can get 30,000 gold blood points if you play optimally. You can get another 30,000 through the 100% of We're Gonna Live Forever or Barbecue and Chili. And another 100,000 if you have one of those bloody party streamers or survivor pudding or escape cake or ghastly ghetto. That was the 103% thing. And another 100% of a friend takes along, so it should I think it might be possible to do it in one. I'm not quite sure if it calculates. Okay, this one we have to put an asterisk on. If the amount with barbecue and chili and so on and so forth all calculates in one. If not, it might be like 3 or 4. Worst case, maybe maybe 20. Let's say you get 5,000. Yeah, 20 is a good worst case number, I guess. Realistically, you should get around 15,000. 8, 6, 7. But I think the extra blood points, let's say 5. I think extra blood points and stuff all counted in. That's why I only had 4. Oh, look. In the iridescent age, somebody rage quit, or I rage quit one time. This is low. You always get blood points. It just is very, very grindy. Gruesome. Hook, 30 survivors. Honestly, I think this number was supposed to be in here, and I can't imagine, but let me calculate. 6 per game, 12, 18, 6, 12, 18, 24, 35 games. Oh no, wait a second. You can hook them 3 times. So it's, if you get all hook with hook sacrifice, that would be 12, 24, 3 games, yeah. And that's why 4 games, right? So the 4 games are actually accurate. 30 games, worst case. Realistically, you get around, let's say you get around 2 hooks. 2.5 hooks for 3 survivors would be 6, 7 hooks per game. Let's see, 12 is maximum. Let's say 8 hooks per game. 8 hooks per game. That was 16 hooks. 24 hooks is 3. 8, 16, 24, 32. 4 games. It's low. It's just grindy, more or less. And even the best case scenario doesn't go that far apart from mine, and a realistic scenario, more or less. Deadly Pursuit. Chase a survivor for a total of 300 seconds. Not a mastery. 1. 3 archive points. 1. Game optimal. Worst case 2. Realistic is 1. It's slow because you can just run after somebody. You don't even have to hit them. Actually, that might be a mistake. Only try to hit them because, you know, you want them to continue running. Yum yum. Sorry for the slurping. Shut down, close hatch 2 times. Uh, 5, 3, low, medium. Two games. 5, 10. 5. Low. It's not more or less. It's just more grindy. And apparently I had the problem that the hatch didn't open and one game and the other, or not in time or whatever, and the other it was 2 hatch escapes, so I couldn't close it. Ruthless aggression. Earn 3 malicious emblems. Okay. Malicious emblems. Of iridescent quality over better killer, not mastery can't be, because 3 emblems, 3 rift key point, 3 rift fragments, doable optimally in 3 games. If it goes bad, let's see, what does malicious require? Hits. And you need and hooks. You need 36 points for iridescent. Hooking. For each no hooked state. By hooking. So they need to be unhooked and hooked again. So that's and then you need to hit them. Oh boy. That can... There goes so much that can F you over for this. Let's see. 13, I guess. Let's say 14. 14. Realistically, 8. 8. That is medium hard. Because if people die on the hook, you can't get the you can't get the points needed partially. It's one of the reasons why pipping as a killer is harder than as a survivor. Rin's sins. Kill all survivors in a trial one time by any means has the spirit. Killer. Mastery, 5 points. One optimally, worst case. 6, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, I think 6 is a kind of realistic. Oh, 2 to 3. Let's say 3. That's a low to medium. And apparently I needed 1 game because I misread. I suppose I let somebody escape or something. And that's why. Crushing dominance. I think that's what it was that I thought. I just needed to kill 1 person by any means, and it was actually all. No idea. Crushing dominance. Knock down 8 survivors. Killer. Mastery. 5 rift fragments. 1 game in optimal setting. I guess around 3 games when it doesn't work out quite so optimal. Should be doable in 1. It's low to medium. No, it's actually low. Haunted hit. Hit a survivor with your weapon while the survivor is exposed 1 time while using the perk X Haunted Ground. Well, yes, a mastery, 5 points. 1 game, optimally 2 to 3 games. Let's say 3 games, maybe. Doable, it's 1. It's actually kind of low because of the way these achievements work, and I guess the way the game is made. You can they just need to be exposed, and you have to have the perk. If they were to do it that it has to be the exposed status from the perk, then, and similar things with other tomes, then these would all skyrocket from being somewhat doable to very hard or nigh impossible. So even if Behavior watches this video, I hope they don't change anything. To tell the truth, I feel like the ones where you have to kill everybody are the worst killer tomes, because I feel like working together with the survivors on occasion just to reduce animosity between survivors and killers is on occasion kind of nice. And that there isn't as much toxicity and hate between the two, between survivor and killer mains, because sheesh, killers can be toxic and survivors can be way more toxic, in my opinion. And working together reduces that, I think. Okay, Doctor's orders. Kill all survivors in one trial by any means necessary as the Doctor. So that's also a mastery, 1 game. That means it's probably the same thing as with Rin. 6, 3, 1, and low to medium. Low to medium. And I was 3.5 rifts away from the level 70. Okay, let's take a look at the stats. So there's 335 rift fragments. 153 rift fragments. 3. German and English, as always. There are 353 rift fragments that you can get from the tome quests. Then there are 153 games if you play perfectly all the tome quests. Worst case, you play around 725 or more games. Optimally or realistic is somewhere around 319 games, and Strange World, I needed 319 games. And there are 40 for completing the rift, so we are at 393 rift fragments. Let's put that in our calculation sheet that I opened up for the experience points. They are the same as before. I will go through it in just a second. Okay, so the experience points per rift you need are 800. Those are the account experience points, not the blood points. You need 10 rift fragments to get a rift level up, and there are 70 levels. That means the total is the multiplication of 800 experience points per times 10 rift fragments times 70 levels. However, the first game of the day as a killer and as a survivor give you an additional 300. Since it's a daily thing, if you do it each day for 70 days, you get a total of 42,000 bonus experience points, which reduces the overall experience points you need by that amount, which brings us to 518,000 blood points from the original 560,000. The best case experience points per game are said to be 600. I don't remember seeing 600. I do know that 560, 580 are kind of realistic, but that would mean you need around 864 games, probably around 900 games without tomes. Now, if we take a look at the tomes, the amount of rift fragments we get in Tome 2 are 393. That means that if we take away, let's see, give me a second. Did I do a calculation error? Oh, wait a second. I did an insert error. There we go. Um, 393. That means we subtract the 393 from the 700 total rift experience points that we need, which is calculated as rift fragments we need, which is calculated as 10 times the 10 rift fragments times the amount of levels. And just because I think it's easier to do it yeah, okay, give me a second. Yeah, 307. Good. So if we calculate the 307 remaining rift fragments we need with the 800 experience points, that is a total of 245,600 experience points. And if we subtract the daily login bonus experience points, we are at 203,600 experience points. If we divide that by the game's the experience points per game or from an optimal game, that is 393 games needed. The best case games were 135. So we still need, in the best case scenario, if we are masters of the game and dominate any game we are in, getting the best emblems and so on and so forth, because the emblems count to the experience points needed as well, we would still need 255 games. Since we need 340 games about, and those are more than the 725, in the worst case scenario, you don't need additional games. Games needed, in my opinion, 319. And funny enough, oh, wait a second. I just realized something. Yeah, let me rephrase something. These are old stats. Let me do it this way just to avoid further complications. Okay. This, let's correct this one as well. Okay, good. Average experience points are more, this is the more realistic area here, in case anybody's wondering, are 370 games, 371, since playing half a game probably is, well, half a game and not what possible. Best case scenario is, was it 153? And worst case scenario is 319, 319. So in the best case, you still need to play around 220 games. In the worst case, you need to 218 games. In the worst case, in the realistic case, you need to play around 52 games. Worst case, if you're one of those people that go more towards the worst case, you're pretty much, if you manage to get to level 70, you should have everything. And if you manage to get through the tomes, that is, you should have the complete rift. Let me put it that way. So, time needed. Best case, which is this is the best case, the 340 games. And why I'm taking the 340 games and not let's say the 20. These numbers are just additional games you need to reach the 340 game limit, because these are the games you need in total when having all the rift fragments unlocked from the tomes. You still need 340 games and doing all the log and daily bonus stuff. Worst case, well, worst case is probably 725, or what did I say? I don't remember how I came up to that number in the previous. Maybe I should take a look at it. If anybody's interested, I'll take a look at the calculations of XP Tome 1 again whenever somebody asks, and I'll post it or give an update in the next video or something. Realistically, we are going with the 371 games and 12 minutes. Worst case, we're saying 15 minutes per game. So that means on statistically speaking or calculatorily speaking, words, you need around 75 hours, 57 hours for in the best case scenario, around 181 hours in the worst case scenario, and it's probably around 74 hours, 74.2 hours. Now, how does this fare, and how are the statistics compared to the first tome? Because I have actually done a few calculations that aren't in the first video for anybody who's interested. Let's go with a survivor first. Okay, so there are 13 in the first part. There are 12 in the second part. There are 13 in the third part. And there are 13 in the fourth part. Killer side. There are 8 in the first part. There are 9 in the second. There are 8 in the third. And there are 8 in the fourth. And there are in total 22 in the first and 22 in the second and 22 in the third. I'm starting to see a pattern here. And okay, 23 in the third, which means we should, in case I didn't miss anything, 90, 89, yeah, okay. So as we can see, in comparison to the first tome, you have definitely more quests to be done. However, the amount of quests for killers are still significantly less. And the amount of quests increased are mainly on the survivor side. In a matter of fact, except for part 2 in the first tome, all the killer tomes are pretty much are so close that it's probably doesn't really make that much of a difference. I mean, okay, there's 7 and there's 8, but there's a 9 here, there's an 8 here. So yeah, the killers got 4 more tomes, and the survivors got 11 more tomes. As for the worst case, oh, this is wrong. Give me one moment. As for let's take a look. What do we need? We need the worst case game number. Not necessarily worst case game number. Okay, so the worst case realistic worst case. Let me sorry for babbling. Give me a second. Worst case games for 550. Okay. Worst case games 550. Worst case games 725. Best case games are 340. And average are 370, I guess. Okay, average is 445 games there. Good. Now, that means if you look at the worst case scenario, this is an indication, in my opinion, or that the tomes, from my personal estimation, have gotten more difficult. Not that you need that many games, but there are a lot of things where you don't have that much control in, if you can manage or not. Additional games needed when all tomes are completed are 0 here. Let's see, it was 186. Let's say 187. And games I needed on average are around I guess around, let's see, 20, 51, I guess around 40 more. Which time investment is $56. What was it? Okay, let's say 57, 57. And 45, 75, 57, 75, and 182 hours equals 182 divided by 70 days. 75 divided by 57 divided by 70 days. And 75 divided by 70 days equals. So the amount of time you need to invest has gone down a tad with me and with the optimal case. With the average case, the optimal case with me, whichever way you want to see it. Because the average and my values are pretty much the same. But in the worst case scenario, it actually went up. What do I think is better? Well, personally, I like the first tomes the best. Because there were, but maybe I'll revisit to the 1 year anniversary when we've gone through 3 and 4. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Check out Zaf Luto. She's a pretty cool streamer. Since I see her on she's on my overlay, I thought I'd shout her out just because. And in case you have any questions, be sure to write them down or pop into my stream. I stream Dead by Daylight. Well, nowadays it will probably be Tuesdays Dead by Daylight, and instead of Thursdays. But link to my Twitch chat channel is on the description below. I also every other Wednesday and Friday play either survival crafting or horror games, and on Monday evening German D&D. Now I wish you a happy night. Toodles.